Hey everybody, we're back. You can't get rid of us.
Can't get rid of us. Like
Yeah,
a bad penny, we just
we're just
keep
gonna keep turning
we
up.
keep turning up. Yeah.
uh, Thanks for joining episode 12. Today we are revisiting New York. We talked a lot about the pizza in New York and Chicago pizza in our last episode. We love New York though.
Yeah, we don't want to come across as haters, so we thought we would share some stories about our times there. And
Yeah, and we just wanted to just share more times that we've had there. If you missed the first one, I had never been to New York City my whole life until last year, and I got to go 3 times, which was amazing. We love exploring, walking, looking at new places, and it was always a benefit. David always had to go for work, and then I tagged along for 2 work events. So you had to work some, and then taking extra days, especially like if you're already going, one person is already going and have the hotel, you may as well just take advantage, which we did twice.
right, and it's a very easy trip from Chicago. It's like a 2-hour flight, so there's no reason not to go. When
Yeah.
one of us had to be there anyway, so
And obviously our kids are grown, so we could leave them home, which was good, so we didn't have to worry about that.
yeah, there was no risky business kind of thing
Yeah.
going on in the
That we
background
know about. And I'm just
that we
kidding.
know of. Right, right.
But we had so much fun, and we will definitely be back once that we can travel again. That'll definitely be another place that we're going to. But for today's episode, we wanted to share a story of something that happened with David on one of his trips.
This was back in 2018. I went. Jennifer was not with me that time, but my company, we have this sort of summit thing late October, early November every year. Well, we did before there was a global pandemic.
Yeah,
but
and you can't go anywhere.
when we weren't all locked in our homes, we would do this. And the summit, which was just a long, day long meeting with different segments, that would take place typically on a Thursday. And so the idea was you'd fly in on Wednesday, and then we'd have some kind of an outing. Then we'd have this summit, and it would typically wrap up at about 3 o'clock in the afternoon on Thursday. And then, depending on your flight schedule and when you had to head back to wherever you were going, a lot of us would, we'd go out and get a drink or whatever after the summit and before you had to get to the airport. So in 2018, it just so happened that making our flight arrangements, the only thing that worked out for my schedule was to fly in and out of JFK. And our meeting, our summit and so forth was in Times Square. So it's kind of a long haul rather than LaGuardia or even Newark would have been closer. So we wrap up the summit about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. We go to the Perfect Pint,
Right.
the one in Times Square, to have a drink or two before people head out. And everyone was super nervous about the amount of time it was going to take to get to the airport, and I kept checking on my phone to try to figure out how much time I had. We probably got to the bar at about 3:30 in the afternoon, and I think my flight was at 6:30. So there's a little bit of a gap, But traffic is bad, and it's a weekday.
You never know.
In the evening, rush hour, you never know. And my boss is very anxious. He kept saying, I think you better take off. I think you better take off. He's probably just trying to get rid of me. But so finally, I checked again on my phone, and all of a sudden, the projected amount of time had increased significantly. So I'm like, all right, I got to go. So I jump in I come out of the bar, and there's a cab right there. Beautiful. Jump in the cab, take off. I'm in the cab for about 2 minutes, and I get a notification that my flight is delayed. Probably, I don't know, 15, 20 minutes, whatever. And so already I'm like, all right, well, I got a little extra time, so I guess I'll be fine. So we're inching along, we're in Times Square, inching along, heading, east to get out of Manhattan. And so we take the tunnel under the East River and come up onto the Long Island Expressway, 495. And I had come in Wednesday morning the same route, so I kind of, I knew where,
Kind of knew you were going.
more or less the route, But it probably took us 40 minutes to get out of Manhattan onto across the East River onto the expressway, and we hadn't really done. I had like a single beer. I think I had a Guinness because it's the Perfect Pint, so you got to.
You got to.
Right.
And we're Irish, so.
Right. And it's taken forever, right? So it's probably been 40 minutes since I walked out of the bar, got in the cab, and I'm an old man. So I had to use the bathroom, right? I mean, you know, it
It happens.
It happens. And I'm looking at the situation and I'm like, this is not good. Because it's already taken 40 minutes and we're just on the other side of the river. And it's a long way to JFK from there. So, you know, I'm in the back seat of the cab. There's like the plexiglass divider between me and the driver with the little hole where you can put your money or your credit card or whatever so they can ring up the fare, you know. I kind of lean forward and I'm like, hey, I really have to use the bathroom, right? And I swear to God, honest to God, I know that I said to the driver, can you get off at the next exit? I know that's what I said. And he's like, oh, yeah, sure. But instead of like getting off the next exit, all of a sudden he pulls the cab over on the shoulder, right? And he's like, "Here you go." So, and as I say, I didn't say, "Can you pull over?"
Right.
I said, "Can you get off at the next exit?" So, you know, desperate times call for desperate measures, right? For, you know, when you're under a lot of stress, for a split second or two, you consider irrational things, right? So I'm sitting there and I'm like, so, you know, is this what we're doing? Is this what's going to happen right now? You know? And after a very short time, you know, I kind of came to my senses and I'm like, this is not how my life is going to end. I'm not going to die on the shoulder of the Long Island Expressway at 4:30 on a Thursday afternoon with my fly down getting hit by a semi or something, right?
That's not going to be on the news.
There's no way I'm doing this. So I get back in the cab. No, I did not get out of the cab. I did not get out of the cab. But honestly, I'm like, yeah, there is not a chance. I came to my senses. So I kind of like, I lean back and I'm like, I'm really sorry, man. There's no way.
No.
There's just no way I'm going to do
What's
this.
plan B?
Yeah. They said, I will give you $20 cash money to get off at the next exit and find, you know, a convenience store, a gas station, something. So I was like, all right, cool, no problem. So we go. It probably took another 10 or 15 minutes to get to the next exit because we're like inching along. And we get off the next exit, and I can see as we're heading down the ramp, there's some major street down there, you know, and I can see that there's an on-ramp right across the street. So theoretically, there's a gas station down at the end of the ramp. Go to the gas station, get right back on the expressway. This is what I'm envisioning, okay? So we get down to the ramp, we make a right turn to pull into the gas station. We get into the gas station. Everything's cool, you know. I gave him the $20 right away because I'm like, I don't want him to think I'm gonna like mess with him or wait till we got to the airport. Or I stuffed the $20 bill in that little opening, and the guy was very nice about the whole thing, right? So I go into the little, you know, convenience store part of the gas station, do my business, get back in the cab, and to get back onto the expressway, coming out of the gas station, he would have had to make a left turn. He would have had to cross over a lane of traffic, make a left turn, then a right turn to get onto that on-ramp. And this is what I'm envisioning in my head. This is what's going to happen. That's not what happened. Instead, he makes a right-hand turn. So I'm thinking, oh, okay, maybe he's got to go down the next corner, go around the block, something like that. Nope. He just keeps going. And he's going. And he's going. And we're going. And I could tell we were heading south because the sun is setting. It's coming in the right side of the cab. So I know that's west, so that's got to be south. So we're going. And I'm like, well, you know, that's kind of the right direction or whatever. But it went on for, I don't know, 40, 45 minutes, just inching through traffic. I'm like, he's not really going to drive surface streets
Like, where
the
are we going?
entire way to JFK, right? At this point, I'm thinking, maybe he's done for the day and we're going home. I'm going to have dinner at his house. Whatever.
Right.
But finally, I can see, we're kind of like heading southeast. And I'm checking my phone. Every time I see something, I'm kind of like looking it up on my phone to kind of figure out where we are. Finally, I can see way, way, way down, many blocks down, a highway overpass. And I'm thinking, okay, you know, maybe that's where we're going. And I can see the big green sign with the interstate sign on it, but I can't make it out from a distance. And as we get closer, finally, after all these years of watching Seinfeld reruns, I know where we are because the sign says the Van Wyck Expressway. And I know that's how Elaine took her boyfriend to the airport. They say no one's ever beaten the Van Wyck.
Right.
But I tell you this. Anyway, so we made it to the airport and I survived this bizarre story. But I had like an entire tour of Queens. And it was
you
hilarious.
didn't miss your flight because
I didn't miss my
was
flight because it kept
delayed.
getting delayed and delayed. Yeah, I had like another hour and a half in the airport when we finally
I
got
obviously
there.
still laugh here about that story. It's just so funny every time I hear it. So we definitely wanted to share that with you. We'll probably do another episode of New York Stories. We could just call it New York Stories.
That's what we called the first one.
Oh, that's right. So this will be episode 2, New York Stories episode 2, and then we'll continue on. But we'll definitely see you guys next time. Bye.